Hey there, welcome back to my kitchen. This week we are cooking with some canned biscuits. This time we're not making snacks or appetizers, we are making a full-blown dinner. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let's go ahead and get started. First up today, we're making these easy biscuit bacon burgers, and basically these biscuits are just going to replace our buns today. I started by preheating my oven to 350 degrees, and then I went ahead and chopped up half of a yellow onion. Over to my skillet, I'm adding 1 pound of ground beef, and I'm going to go ahead and add the onion we chopped up in there as well and just let those cook together. To season up my ground beef, I'm using this Famous Dave's steak and burger seasoning. I did not measure this, I just kind of added what I thought was necessary and gave it a good stir and let it finish cooking. While that was cooking up, I went ahead and sprayed down a 9x13 baking dish with some nonstick spray. Next, I'm taking my biscuits and I'm very carefully going to split them all in half, just like this. Once they've been split in half, just go ahead and add them straight into your baking dish. We are only going to be using 4 biscuits for the bottom of this, but go ahead and split up all 8 of your biscuits. Once I had those in the bottom of my dish, I added them into the oven for about 7 minutes so that they could start cooking, since they will be covered up for the rest of the remaining baking time. I also cooked up a few slices of bacon. I think I ended up with 3 to 5 slices after it was all said and done. And then once your biscuits come out of the oven, go ahead and add your cooked ground beef and onions right over top of those. Be sure to spread them out the best you can. Next, I'm adding a handful of shredded cheddar over the top of this. Feel free to use American cheese slices if you prefer those on your burgers instead of the shredded cheese. Either one will work. Also, I do want to mention, if you're new, I list all the ingredients and the amounts down in the description box, so be sure to check that out. Next, I'm adding my chopped bacon over top of the cheese, and then we're going to take our 4 remaining biscuits that we split in half, so you should have 8 more pieces. Add those right on top. This will go back in the oven for about 20 minutes until the tops of your biscuits look nice and golden brown, just like this. Here's what my finished plate looked like. I added lettuce, red onion, and tomato onto mine with a little bit of mayonnaise. That's how I love to have my burgers, and I also made a side of some seasoned fries to go along with it. Next up, I'm trying out a John Wayne casserole. I had somebody recommend this to me, so I wanted to give it a shot. I just started by preheating my oven to 350 and then over to my 8x8 baking dish. I sprayed it down with some nonstick spray, and then I'm adding my entire can of biscuits in here. Try to make them all fit the best you can. I did have to press mine down around the edges. You do want them to come up the sides just a little bit, just like this, so they will all fit once you get them pressed down and spread apart. Once all my biscuits were in my pan, I went ahead and just kind of pressed them together to seal up any holes that there were in the bottom. I put this in my oven and let it bake for about 10 minutes until it started to turn golden brown. Now over to my skillet, I'm starting 1 pound of ground beef. I'm just going to break that up and let that cook. Over to my cutting board, I am chopping up half of a yellow onion and also slicing up half of a green bell pepper. Once my ground beef is done, I'm adding about 2.5 tablespoons of taco seasoning and just a little bit of water in there. I'm going to mix that up and get that all combined. Once my ground beef was done, I did go ahead and just remove that into a bowl for right now. I'm going to go ahead and continue using this same skillet. I'm adding about 2 tablespoons of olive oil in here, and then I'm going to go ahead and add in my onion and my green pepper and just cook these until they are tender. I do have to say, I wish I would have either chopped up the green pepper like the onions or kept the onions a little bit bigger just like the green peppers, but you live and you learn. Now over to this small bowl, I'm adding about a 1/4 cup of sour cream, a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise, and about a 1/4 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. I believe this was sharp cheddar. I'm going to get that mixed up together really good and just add a few shakes of garlic powder and onion powder. One thing I do have to say about this dinner, I wish I would have doubled this because I honestly think that this was the best part about it. Here is what my biscuits looked like when they were done, and as you can see, they were taking up quite a bit of space. So what I did was I went ahead and just kind of pressed them down with my hands. No idea if you're technically supposed to do this, but it all worked out in the end and turned out great. After pressing them down, I had plenty of room to start adding my other ingredients. So first I added in my ground beef. I spread that around as best as I could. Next, I'm adding half a can of petite diced tomatoes. On top of the tomatoes, you'll add your sliced green pepper and chopped onion. And then to top that off, we're going to go ahead and add our sour cream and mayonnaise cheese spread. I don't know what this is technically called, but that's what I'm calling it today. And then finally, on top of that, we're going to add some more of our sharp cheddar. I added about a 1/2 cup to 3/4 of a cup on top. I placed this back in the oven and it cooked for about 35 minutes. Here is what my finished plate looked like. Like I said, I've never had this before. It was something that one of you guys actually recommended I try. I wasn't quite sure if my husband was going to like it, but he actually did, which really surprised me. But we both agreed that it could use more of that sour cream and mayonnaise because that was the best part in our opinion. Up next, we're making this super easy biscuit fajita bake. I started by preheating my oven to 375 degrees, and then I started chopping up half of a yellow onion, half of a green bell pepper, and half of a red bell pepper. For my biscuits, I started by chopping those up into about 6 pieces each and then adding them right into this bowl. Next, we're taking this fajita seasoning mix. You can also make your own if you'd like to, but we actually really wanted to try this one, and to be honest, I wasn't a big fan of it. I added about 1/3 of this packet into my biscuits and started mixing them around, trying to coat them as evenly as possible with the seasoning mix. Moving on to my chicken, I had 2 chicken breasts here that I went ahead and just cut into smaller bite-sized pieces. I heated up a couple tablespoons of olive oil over in my skillet, and then once that was hot, I added in my chicken breast along with my chopped onion and bell pepper. I'm going to let these cook together right here in the same skillet. Once that was just about done, I went ahead and added the remaining seasoning in my seasoning packet in here, and I also filled the seasoning packet up with a little bit of water and dumped that in as well. I just got that mixed together, and then once that had cooked in here and some of that liquid had disappeared, I went ahead and transferred this entire thing over to the bottom of my small 8x8 baking dish. On top of my hot chicken, I'm adding on about a half cup of shredded Colby Jack cheese. And then to top that off, we're adding the biscuits on here, and you'll just spread those out as evenly as you can. I put this in the oven and it baked for about 20 minutes. This is what it looked like after those 20 minutes. You're not quite finished yet though. You're gonna go ahead and add some more cheese right on top of the biscuits. I added an additional half cup to 3/4 of a cup of Colby Jack cheese. Then it's going to go back into the oven just long enough for that cheese to melt on top. I will be linking this recipe down below. This was not my recipe. My husband actually sent this to me. I love when he sends me recipes to try out. This is what my finished plate looked like. I did add some sour cream on top, and I thought this was really good. It was different. I think next time I would definitely use a different fajita seasoning, if not make my own. And possibly layer it the opposite way with the biscuits on the bottom and the chicken on the top. And last but not least, we're making a sausage gravy biscuit casserole. My aunt actually sent me this recipe, told me to test it out before her and my grandma had it. So we're testing it out tonight. I am halving the recipe though, so I'm only cooking half of a 1-pound package of breakfast sausage. I'm going to be using my 8x8 baking dish. I'm just spraying it down with some nonstick spray. And since I'm halving this, I'm only using 4 of the biscuits, but don't worry, I did not waste the other biscuits. I actually just baked those up in the oven and put them in the fridge for future use. For each one of these biscuits, I'm just cutting it into 6 smaller pieces and then spreading those small pieces all over the bottom of my baking dish. On top of my biscuits, I'm adding my ½ pound of sausage. Next, I shredded some mild cheddar up so it was nice and fresh. I added that right on top of the sausage. It was about a ½ cup. Over to a small bowl, I am cracking 3 eggs. Don't mind me dropping the shell in there. I've been so bad about that lately. Once I get my 3 eggs in there, I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. And whisk those up and pour them straight over top of the cheese. Now we're gonna go ahead and start working on our gravy. I decided to use the same pan that I cooked the sausage in because why not? I am using a packet of gravy. That's what the recipe called for, but it said to go ahead and boil 1.5 cups of water. So I went ahead and added that water in here and used it to deglaze my pan from the sausage. I figured it would just add some extra flavor. And then I just followed the directions on that gravy packet and made the gravy up. I just went ahead and kept whisking it until it had thickened up really nicely, just like this. Like I said, I halved this recipe, but I did not halve the gravy. I wanted to have extra gravy because I did not want this to be dry. I read some of the comments said that it was a little dry with only 1 packet of gravy for the whole recipe, so I figured that using the whole packet of gravy for half of the recipe would work out good, and I'm so glad I did. Once the gravy was done, I poured that straight over top of everything, spread it out the best I could, and then I put this in the oven for right around 30 minutes. This is what it looked like when it came out of the oven. This may not look super appetizing in the bowl, but it is actually really good. I was quite impressed with this. And I want to tell you guys that I did not eat all of this because it was just me when I made this. I went ahead and put this into freezer containers, froze it, and let me tell you, the leftovers after you reheat it are so good. And then I have a couple servings of a quick breakfast ready to go right in the freezer. If you made it this far, leave me a flower down in the comments. I love to see who sticks around for the entire video. It means so much to me and I appreciate you more than you know. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you back here on Sunday for another week of meals.